going to.
Hold on, there's some carrots around you go.
Can I sit here? May I sit here? Yes, you I guess Bob's not coming.
I love it when you have those buttons underneath it.
This one should be.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's Tuesday, September the 7th, 12 noon. Hereby call the meeting of the Historic Preservation Board to order. Citizens may speak on action items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk or board secretary prior to the board reaching this section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Comments related to public hearings, if any, will be heard when the specific hearing is called. Item A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to modify the facade at 131 West Woodard Street, case number 2021-53H.
Thank you, Mr.
What?
Chairman. There's several components to this application on West Woodard. As you know, this is a fairly high visibility corner coming into the city. The applicant's wishing to basically remove this hardy board siding on the south exposure of the building, revealing the brick underneath. The belief is that that brick is already painted, and the request is to paint the brick in a light color. There's also the request to redo the door and the windows there. So there's also a rear door to be replaced, and then the top of the window type that's proposing. This is a proposed color. It's an Egyptian blue for the main facade. Accents will be done in the white sash. It's typical, y'all like to see alternative colors, so the applicant did propose some alternative colors for a gray brick for the facade color, with the accent being the blue kiss. With that, Mr. Chairman, you have a recommendation for approval. Would like to stress that when the facade is pulled down, again, the applicant believes that the brick has been painted before. The brick on that western exposure, as you know, is painted, but if it's not been painted, then he would need to come back to the board to get approval for any other alterations to the brick. So with that, you have a recommendation for approval. I do know the applicant's here if you'd like to ask any questions of the applicant.
So the intention is to paint the facade?
To take the hardy board down and then basically see what the brick type is like underneath. If it's been painted before, then it'd be repainted in this color, the Egyptian blue, if the brick has already been painted.
Does the brick have to be treated before you paint it, or?
That's probably above my pay grade. I don't know if you want to step up.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe it has to be, but that would be up to the contractor. Sorry, I forgot his name. Kevin Hempkins, Oak Creek Builders. He'll be the one doing that. So if it needs to be sealed or treated or anything like that prior to paint, then he will do that. I don't know the condition of the brick underneath. I haven't seen it in about 7 years, so.
Could you go ahead and give your name and address just real quick?
My name is Harley Mosier. I reside at 354 FM 1753 here in Denison, and own the business at the 131 West Woodard, the Textile Cash Register.
Well, I commend you for your efforts to clean it up and make that building look better. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I've never been happy with that hardy board facade. That was the previous owner of the
Right,
business.
right.
I always wanted to redo the brick, but I didn't own the company at the time. That was the previous owner, and it was, from what I understand, a less expensive option. I'm a very firm believer, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. If you're gonna spend any money, spend all the money that needs to be spent. So we're gonna just want to completely take that off, get rid of that facade that's on the front, because it's got problems. As you can see from the pictures, the All of the trim along the top is all rotted out. It's allowing water to get back behind that wall. The amount of money and time that's going to have to go into repairing that facade would be much, much better spent of restoring what's underneath, of getting that brick back to where it needs to be. And the entire building was painted. That brick underneath was painted prior to them putting this facade on there. I don't remember the color. Sorry, it's been about 6 or 7 years since I've seen it. But it was either a really light blue or a light tannish color. I can't remember. But they repainted the whole building when they did that facade with the dark blue. So,
All right, thank you.
How locked in are you to the dark blue as opposed to the gray brook?
I would much prefer it. I like the dark blue. It matches the color scheme of everything for my business. We're all a very dark blue, royal blues on all of our shirts. All the lettering on our cars is all the dark royal blue. All of my logos on everything. That's kind of the reason I would like to stay with the blue if possible.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed facade and repainting, the proposed facade alterations and repainting of 131 West Woodard with Egyptian blue, Pantone number 7692U, and white sash, Pantone number 7541U.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There being none, then the motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, item B. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to paint accent and trim features at 101 East Main Street. Case number 2021-052H. Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Y'all probably know the site. It's our historic depot. The applicant is wishing to go back and basically try to get all the accent and trim features painted in one single color, that being the Lincoln Cottage Black Noir. Just some highlight. Again, this is the color sample. This is an alternative sample which he provided. However, the preference is to go with the black. There's various features around the depot, basically the trim around the windows, the doors, other accent features. This is the back of the building, the east side of the building. Again, the preference is to get all these colors under the one color scheme of the black. Staff supported this with the condition that it be a matte or a semi-gloss. We don't believe that it should be a high gloss material, but a matte or a semi-gloss. So with that, you have that recommendation from staff. Mr. Chairman, I don't believe the applicant's here. I think he had a conflict. He is here?
Okay.
Oh, there, okay, I'm sorry. If you have any questions of him, be glad to.
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay.
If you would, sir.
Hi, my name is Marcus Patronicola.
Hi. Thank you for being here. Have you considered using two different colors on some of the features of the facades?
We did consider that. Part of what we did is we looked at some of the historical photographs, what the building used to look like, and it looked like the trim was one uniform color. One of the driving desires is right now the color scheme and the different tones, as you see in some of the photographs, it kind of looks a little unkempt and dated. So we were trying to get it to a uniform color into its historical state.
I'm concerned that if you use one color such as the black that was suggested, you're going to lose some of the detail in the trim of the doorways and above it, especially on the main entrance here. The other concern I had was with what used to be Tupelo Honey, there's like 3 freight doors down there.
Yeah.
And I think if you paint that all black, it's just going to be too much.
Yeah.
It's just-
Could we go to Tupelo? Yeah. So there are 3 colors. In fact, to the right of the right arrow, there's an old planter box, and it's just a hodgepodge of colors, white,
Right.
beige, brown, and another brownish color. So again, we're trying to achieve a uniform color and look, and kind of a clean look to the place.
Well, I've seen black used on Main Street as a color, in some cases as primary color, and it's just overpowering. That's just my feeling about it. I really like the way it was originally painted, not necessarily colors, but to use one color for the background on the doors and another color for the trim.
Are you driving? Okay. No, that's okay. Do you mind maybe going back to the color palettes? Well, how would you feel if we used two of the colors in the color palette we selected?
That'd be,
I'd love to use the darker one as maybe the back, and then maybe one of the lighter colors as for the trim to pop a little bit.
I think that would work. Is that something you'd be willing to do, or have you considered doing that?
So we haven't now, but, I mean, that's why we're here, right, to talk it through. So I think we could do that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I agree with Mr. Mason that there's some detail in the woodwork and finishes on that building that we want to emphasize in a way that is very, very positive for it and for the street. And I think it would be more dramatic, shall we say, if it were two colors. And of those, my preference would be the lighter gray and the sort of taupe color.
Okay.
Part of it has to do, for me, that the brick itself is a warm color, and black isn't.
Okay. I understand your preference. I don't know if you're saying that's the way it's got to be. I would prefer, since the original request was to use the darker color, I would prefer we at least incorporate that within the,
I don't object to the black, I just object to it being used as the only color that's going to be on trim,
understood, yeah.
so.
Well, that would require an amended motion.
You could kind of be specific on where you want colors on what elements, so we understand completely.
Exactly.
That way, if he needs to appeal any decision to council, I know what he needs to appeal.
So where do we go from there?
Well, if you want to walk through these pictures and show what color you want on the doors, and then what you want on the trim work, we can walk through these pictures.
I don't want to be that nitpicky about it. I just don't want to see one color used, no matter what shade it is. Right now, everything's that beige color, and some of the detail gets lost because of that. The other thing is the wooden building that's an add-on behind Tupelo, I believe it is. Probably be better off if that were painted the same color as the brick, or some color that matches the bricks.
I agree. We just didn't think about that for this submission. Well, if you're okay
As
with,
far as the detail that I would think could be emphasized very effectively, on this picture here, the corbels at the top of those pieces could clearly be more dramatic. And then there's that, looks like a half-round trim, and then the little bit of trim around the doors, just basically what frames the glass in the doors, and those clear story windows above them. That could be enough of an accent to please me. And then the question of whether the accent is the darker color and the background the lighter color is, once again, your preference would be more that the bulk of the paint was the darker color.
that's correct,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
That's
I'm
correct.
good with that.
That'd be our preference.
Could could we change the motion just to specify the use of like Lincoln Cottage Black? And what other color would you like to use, the ashlar gray?
Well, John, could you go back to the colors? Well, based on what we're talking about here, could you go to the next one, please, the lighter one? If we're looking for contrast, and I know Ms. Anderson's looking for a lighter color, maybe we could use the lightest color, the ashlar gray is the,
Here's,
Yeah, ours doesn't, we're not seeing a true picture with that.
oh, you're not seeing the screen here?
We're seeing that, it's not the same as we have on our
this
paper.
is
Okay.
what we have as far
Something's
as the
lost in the
color.
translation.
Okay,
Happier.
it looks like something to get
I
lost.
think that the noir and the ash would be a good combination for that. And as far as where you use it, I think we ought to leave that up to you.
That'd be great. I think that's a great compromise.
Mr. Webb, is that satisfactory?
Yeah, what I'd like to do is have him at least show us what plans he plans, you know, if he just go back and identify, and I can just send that out as a matter of information to you, just make sure, it doesn't have to be a board action, but just want to make sure you're all understanding, so.
That'd be
I'll
fine.
work with him to just have him go through and identify what's getting painted what.
Yeah, and if we could just do a mock-up of one doorway with the trim of what you imagine it would
Yeah,
look
I-
like with the contrast and the main color, that'd be
I
fine.
don't want to delay his work.
Exactly.
I'd like to go ahead and make the motion specifying the two colors and leave that to his discretion and upon approval by Mr. Webb. So with that being said, somebody want to put together a motion?
Let's see.
I think all you need to do is add the color Montpelier Ashlar Gray after the Lincoln Cottage Black in the motion.
I move to approve the use of Lincoln Cottage Black, Noir Pantone in BLK, and the use of Montpelier Ash Gray, is that the one we're talking about, Ash and
Ashlar
Gray?
yes.
As those two colors, one the principal color, the second the trim color, and in either a matte or semi-gloss finish at 101 East Main Street.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you so
Opposed?
much for your commitment to the building.
Thank
The
you.
motion is carried. Thank you, sir. One thing that I'll note, so we don't have problems in the future, if you can't find that color, a specific color at a paint store,
Come back to
come back and talk to Mr. Webb, rather than just picking out another one and going ahead.
Sure. We'll find it. I mean, we'll just match it if we can't find it.
Great. I'm sure
Okay.
you will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you
Appreciate what you're doing down there.
very much.
Absolutely. Okay, this is interesting here.
Okay, moving on. Item C, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to paint a mural on a utility wall located at 101 East Main Street. Case number 2021-051H. Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Same location at the depot. There's a wall that's been there for quite some time that's really kind of hidden in the central part of the area. You really have to kind of look to find it. It extends north and south between the two buildings. There's really very little public exposure to the wall, but the applicant has painted this mural on it. We recognize that it's probably appropriate to be painted. We feel like it should go through the city design committee just to be approved as well. So we're asking for your approval, subject to approval by the city design committee. And again, this is a mural that has very little public exposure. You really see it from the back windows of those offices in there.
Can I ask who the artist is? Anybody know?
Excuse me?
Do we know who the artist is?
Yeah. No comment.
Come on back.
The artist's name is Leslie Fruget.
I'm sorry.
Leslie Fruget.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you're doing something with that rather than just leaving it as a blank wall. Most people probably won't even see that.
That's
but
right.
I'm fine with it.
It doesn't come across as well, maybe from the picture, but it's an Art Deco theme, trying to tie it in with the, okay, everyone's nodding, so you're clearly there. So we're just trying to tie it in with the overall look and feel of the bill. Everything we're trying to do is to restore the building or, you know, bring out its history and heritage.
Okay. Any questions?
I move to approve the proposed mural at 101 East Main Street on the subject utility cinder block wall pending approval of the content by the City Design Committee.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? There being none, then the motion is carried. Okay, staff updates. Receive a report and hold a discussion on department updates.
Mr. Chairman, really nothing more to add. We are working now, I think, on a new direction on the entire color palette. Talking with the new city manager, I think there's some thought that we want to get a little bit more input before we bring it back to the board. So it's not something that, you know, will be coming to you at the next agenda. I think we want to get a little bit broader perspective and input from the public on our adopted color palette. So we expect that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.